In 7th grade, I had this math teacher, and she sucked. So me and my classmates reported her, and she was gone the next year. I'm gonna talk about what I did at the time, because I remember being ruthless in trying to get rid of her, which resulted in me playing a pretty significant part, I think. Let's start from the beginning. It was 7th grade, and I was about 13 at the time. Our math teacher, we'll call her Misunderstood, was a fun and not at all strict teacher. She got along with us, and I did like her at first. I remember when we were learning algebra for the first time, she told us that it was time to learn about our x and y's. Clever and funny joke, especially for our age, but you'll see later that those wits weren't gonna save her from my judgment. As the school year went on, her quality as a teacher would decline, if not heavily flawed already, and we were noticing it. She seemed to be really biased toward the other class in comparison to ours, and her teaching was also apparently not all that great. People were getting abnormally confused, even smart kids. I say words like apparently and seemed because while making this video, I didn't and still don't really remember the full story anymore. I do remember her being like this though, just not exactly how anymore. So, I actually pulled up some old texts from our batch group chat to recall the events that unfolded. People from Section A, my class. What do you think of Misunderstood? I want to report her. She's a female dog. This is what happened. Looking back throughout the group chat, apparently at the time, she didn't let Section A use a calculator until much later in a test, which I brought up to people's agreement. Whilst in Section B, they were allowed to use a calculator right at the start, which you can imagine was a big deal. Misunderstood was also telling people if their answers were correct if they asked. Not in Section A though. Misunderstood made a point in arguing that we should have studied more, and here I said I did agree with her argument. Did, because if you don't get something, study it. But she's still the one at fault for being bad at teaching and changing up the rules for Section B. Also, I do actually remember the things I mentioned. Me and my fellow classmates in Section A were starting to not like her. She was treating the other section way better than ours. I may have forgotten exactly how now, but at the time, I knew exactly what she did. I didn't like her and didn't want to let this slide. So, I came up with a plan. I thought to myself, I can't just sit around and do nothing. Wait, if I expose Light on Misunderstood to my homeroom advisor who trusts me, she can report it to the higher-ups. And if she does that, we might not have to put up with this anymore. Plus, I have this whole classroom as witnesses, so there should be absolutely zero risk. This problem is so simple. I actually have a shot to make a difference here. I was now motivated to do what I can to shine light on the situation, not just for me, but for the sake of all of us. I was going to help report Misunderstood so she can either be replaced, or the backlash will act as constructive criticism for her. I also thought this would boost my reputation for an unrelated plan that I already set in motion in preparation for the 8th grade. But that's a story for another time. My plan was very simple because this was a very simple issue to solve. I just kept observing Misunderstood and wrote down a list of all of her flaws and mistakes. The ones I mentioned were already given, but I'm pretty sure I also noticed some other things from my observations. I just kept doing this until I can compile as much details and proof as I can to make a borderline career-ending smackdown. After enough info was gathered, I was gonna present it all to my homeroom advisor, who really trusted and liked me at the time. So using my good reputation, I knew that if I spoke up as well, my voice would add another firm layer of security and truth to the situation surrounding Misunderstood to my homeroom advisor. And eventually, that happened. Our homeroom advisor was asking us about the situation with Misunderstood and what she did because it naturally spread. Now was my chance. I raise my hand, stand up, pull out my list, and proceed to go over everything she did. Her bias, her poor teaching, whatever the hell was on that list that I definitely forgot by now, I said it all. The teacher asked the class, so did Misunderstood really do all of this? And the whole class said yes! I win. To this day, I'm still proud of 13-year-old me for pulling that off. It really didn't take much effort, but the fact that I took action and even thought to meticulously plan it out, even considering how this act could help me out all the way in the next grade level to begin with, is something I probably wouldn't have expected me to do at all at the time. And that plan did succeed too, by the way, hell yeah! The plan also went better than expected, with my teacher asking the whole class, giving me the perfect window of opportunity to read my list and have everyone confirm it all. The plan basically played itself. I'm proud of your courage, younger me. You did great. Misunderstood ended up leaving the next school year, and we never saw her again. Now to address why I called her Misunderstood this whole video. So Misunderstood was actually a science teacher forced to be a math teacher for whatever reason. I'm guessing just unavailable positions. So she was probably planning to leave the next year either way. This explains a lot about the poor teaching stuff. And that whole thing with the calculator, that probably only happened because we were struggling and she didn't want the other section to have the same problem, but I don't remember. We did get a retake exam, although I'm sure it was per the school rules. Basically, if 50% or more of the class fails, they get a retake test. And I don't remember how many people flunked the first one or if I did too. However, this still doesn't justify all that bias crap, because this shouldn't even have been a problem to begin with. Being forced to deviate from your expertise and work someone else's job, I can understand and forgive that, especially for a subject like math, which requires a lot of strong cognitive ability and understanding. Adapting can be tough. But still, you are a teacher. You studied to be a teacher. You trained to be a teacher. You signed up to be a teacher. Since you signed up for this job externally aimed for my benefit, I expect you to be prepared for it. The math stuff I can certainly understand, but the actual teacher stuff? Hell no. You knew you were gonna handle a large crowd. You knew you were dealing with people. You can't be biased for a job like this, especially when it concerns grades and academics. Do I need to say more? Misunderstood was in no way a bad person. Even back then, I was just mad at her. But again, this shouldn't have been a problem to begin with. I'm not easily forgiving towards those. At least she seems to be doing well now after a quick check on social media, so that's good. Fast forward to today, and it's just something for me to laugh about now. That about does it for the shorter video, and thank you all so much for the support on the last. Sorry this one took longer than it should have. There were a lot of new things I wanted to try. My mindset for each new video is to always just improve upon some kind of aspect compared to the last. Maybe more detailed backgrounds, more animations, more edits, and etc. Thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and check out the rest of my videos. I think you'll really like them if you enjoyed this one. That's about it. Hello and goodbye.